easiest way to see the road ahead.
Celebrating 20 years of the Jordan Levy Show, this is WTAG 580 and 94.9 FM, Worcester.
You say you want a revolution. Well, you know, we all want to change the world.
All right, my friends, and we are back with you, and we do change the world every single day, word by word, and with your help, we'll continue to do so for many years to come. We're happy to have you with us on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. We're here on AM 580 AM, 94.9 FM, WTAG, Charter TV3 along for the ride. Telephone number 508-755-0058. You can tweet me, Jordan Levy Show. You can email me at jordan@WTAG.com or Steve Landry at steve@WTAG.com. Now, there is breaking news, and we will tell you just this little part of it, then we'll talk about it afterwards because we have a guest in the studio. The jury has convicted former probation commissioner John O'Brien and former deputies Elizabeth Tavares and Liam Burke on charges of conspiracy to commit racketeering and other charges. So we will discuss that a little later in the afternoon, but they have found a guilty finding in federal court and will be sentenced in the fall to many years in prison. And we'll get into that afterwards. Anyway, right now we have in the studio Lynn Tolman. We're always happy to have her here, the bicyclist of bicyclists, and talking about the George Street Bike Challenge for Major Taylor. And welcome.
Hi, Jordan.
17 years?
13. This is our 13th year.
13th year. My good God. It's going to be Sunday, July 27th, which is coming up pretty quick. And it starts at 10 a.m. And why don't you describe it? It is one of the more unique bicycle, I think it's one of the more unique experiences in Worcester.
It is quirky. It's not a traditional bicycle race. It's an uphill time trial. Time trial means one at a time against the clock. It's a very short street. It's about 2 short blocks long. It's very steep, about 90-foot elevation gain within a 500-foot distance.
Now, just to understand that, folks, I mean, that's like almost perpendicular. I mean, it's really a climb. I mean, to walk it.
I think the technical term is wicked steep.
Wicked steep. I mean, I've walked it over the years, wanted to walk it, and you really have to move your body forward.
Exactly.
In order to walk up that hill.
You have to lean forward and move your center of gravity.
Yeah, you have to do it because you cannot walk straight up and down and make it up that hill.
You'll feel it in your calves, and on the bicycle, of course, you feel it in your quadriceps, your big thigh muscles, and in your lungs.
Yeah, it's an amazing race. I mean, a time trial. And you've been doing this for 13 years.
Yes, and 13 was Major Taylor's lucky number. He got that number for a locker in one race and did well and always asked for it after that.
It's pretty interesting to see Worcester giving credit to Major Taylor now, identifying him a memorial statue outside the Worcester Public Library, Major Taylor Boulevard now. For many, many years, when I first got involved, there was never any mention of Major Taylor at all.
His story was forgotten for a long time, and we're really thrilled with how it's come back. I mean, our overarching goal is to make that name Major Taylor kind of like Jackie Robinson. Like, you just say those 2 words and everybody knows what it stands for and what it means in history. And I think in Worcester, as you said, with the statue and the street, we're really getting there. Yeah,
and people should understand that he was a man of color that was in a sport that had no people of color that were allowed in the sport, basically, and he excelled. He was a champion. And in spite of all the racial difficulties that he had, he was someone that broke the barrier.
Exactly. And this was 50 years before Jackie Robinson did that in baseball. Coming up during Jim Crow, Major Taylor had many times when he wasn't even allowed into a lot of races. He'd go on the road and he couldn't get a hotel room, couldn't get a meal. Sport, like many aspects of society in those times, was actually getting more segregated. And he got his early start in black races, blacks only races. And he was already like the black champion of America when he moved to Worcester as a teenager. And he said, I don't want to just be the black champion. I want to be the fastest, the champion.
And he ended up being.
He was able to get on the starting line in enough races, and he won the world champion title in 1899.
It's interesting because I don't think most of us, unless you're an enthusiastic bicyclist, know much about the history of bicycling at all. I mean, we certainly, before the car, we've seen pictures of bicycle being a mode of transportation for many, many people. Certainly Europe, Asia, we've seen that as a mode of transportation. But it was a major sport in the United States.
It was more popular than baseball, and it was more lucrative for the athletes. Major Taylor at one time was pulling down almost $50,000 a year. That's sort of equivalent to like Tiger Woods type money nowadays.
Wow.
Meanwhile, the ball players had a salary cap. I think in Ty Cobb, in his day, the salary cap was $2,000.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's how changing. Now the one that we talk about all the time is the big race, obviously, and that's going on right now, just being wrapped up in Europe. So I mean, that's the one that seems to spend the most time.
We always have almost always have the George Street Bike Challenge for Major Taylor on the last day of the Tour de France. Which is pretty much decided the day before, so you don't need to be sitting in front of your TV or computer watching it on Sunday morning. You can come.
This thing's just about wrapped up now, so the way it appears. Let's talk about the event and how do people participate and going down to see it, the whole concept.
The racing starts at 10 o'clock. Riders can start checking in at 8:30, and they do check in, warm up. You can practice on that hill or some of the other parallel streets that are a little kinder and gentler.
Not much, but a little.
Yeah. The race is open to riders ages 12 and up. We have had a few younger riders over the years. Basically, if their folks can vouch for them that they've done it before, that they can do it. I mean, I have seen younger kids do it. And we've had people as old as mid-70s, and we've already got some 70-somethings signed up this year.
Wow. You had, how many people do you expect?
We've had as many as 145 or so riders, a couple hundred spectators, free for spectators. Bring a lawn chair if you want, sidewalk space all the way up both sides of the hill.
Pretty interesting thing. Now, in order to participate, it's a $20 entry fee. Obviously, you have to wear helmets.
Yes.
Again, a major change over the years that seems to make so much sense. There's people on that bicycle. And
it's a one-way street. You don't have to come back down it.
Yeah, and it's as I said, it has to be a real challenge to people. I mean, they have to be in good shape, and they have to have had some experience in elevations climbing at that level.
Most people try it at least once beforehand, just to choose your gear. You really need to know which gear you can push all the way up.
Now, did you get a running start on this?
No.
Yeah.
We hold your bike at the crosswalk at the bottom of the hill at the starting line. The stopwatch person at the top of the hill gives the signal, 3, 2, 1, go. We let go of your bike and
that's it.
Stand up all the way. Some people sit and spin. For some parts of it, it's a little less steep at the beginning and at the end. Some people stand up the whole way, but it's a sprint.
What's the kind of timing would you expect?
A lot of people are in the 30 seconds to 40 seconds range. The course record right now is 22 seconds and change. And some of these people just float, just dance right up the hill. My time is more like 60 seconds, and they'll be all over the map.
And of course, a number of them don't make it.
Oh, no. Almost everyone finishes.
They do?
Yeah. Most people can. It's doable. You can get to the top of the hill. Doing it fast is quite a feat.
Do most people go straight up, or do they go parallel to the curb, back and forth?
Some people start traversing on the steep part if they get into a little bit of trouble. That's really a sign that they should have used a smaller gear. But a lot of people just go straight up.
And, of course, this is just a challenge. People do this for a challenge. If they win, they get the best time. What do they get?
Bragging rights.
Bragging rights.
Plastic medal.
All the right reasons for doing something.
Everyone gets a T-shirt. Everyone who gets to the top of that hill one way or another is a winner in my book.
Yeah, I mean, they're really doing it for the love of the sport and a challenge. They're not doing it for the big payoff, and they're not doing it for anything else. I think that's great.
It's like Mount Everest. Cyclists do it because it's there.
It's there.
And that was how Major Taylor came to it. When he moved to Worcester, it was already a known challenge for cyclists. He was told any cyclist worth his salt ought to be able to go up George Street. So he said, let me give it a try. Crowd formed to watch him, and he went up and down a couple of times in quick succession. Unfortunately, his time was not recorded.
Now, he lived from 1878 to 1932.
Correct.
So we're talking about a real piece of Worcester's history here.
He lived most of his life in Worcester. He came here as a teenager from Indiana, and he loved Worcester. He wrote in his autobiography that he was pleased beyond expression at the welcome he received here. And one big reason was the YMCA let him in as a black person in Worcester, whereas the Y in Indianapolis had drawn the color line.
Amazing. I mean, you just step back into history and just think what people went through just for the sole purpose of doing something that they wanted to do. That says an awful lot also. So if anyone out there is interested, they just show up, or do they pre-register?
Either way, you can register online at majortaylораssociation.org, or you can show up about 8:30 and sign up there.
Now, this goes on. It starts at 8:30 for sign-up. It goes, how long does it usually go?
We should be wrapped up by 1 o'clock, maybe earlier. Depends how many people.
A lot of people show up just to see it. A couple hundred people and cheer. It's kind of a nice thing. And, it gets some activity in the lower part of Main Street on a Sunday when there's not a ton of activity down there. It really is kind of a nice thing.
The street is close to cars. We have a police detail, and it's a spectacle. And the cheering really helps. I'll say that as a rider, every time I've done it in practice and timed myself, I've done better on the actual day, and I'm convinced it's just the cheering.
Well, athletes say that all the time. Responses, not only athletes, but actors and actresses that do live performances. If they have a very informed and with it audience and they respond, it gets you into a certain, adrenaline rush or something that's even more, and you respond to that, and there's nothing else. So, so this is it, folks. If you'd like to be challenged and you're a rider and you think you can do this, take a ride down and see George Street. It's right down at the right across from the new courthouse. You can just go over there and see it. Some people would be panicked to drive up there. You can talk about bicycling up there or walking up there. And you can participate. It's Sunday, July 27th. It starts at 10 a.m., but early registration is 8:30 to 9:45. And just do it for the hell of it and do it for a little piece of history. What else do we have to tell them?
It's presented by the Seven Hills Wheelmen. That's a bicycle club here in Worcester, and Barney's Bicycle.
Yeah. And we thank Barney's Bicycle and the Seven Hills Wheelmen for doing this. It's part of Worcester's tradition now. It's 13 years. It's part of the tradition, and each year we have it. So thanks, Lynn. We appreciate you coming up, and hopefully it's a big turnout. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hopefully you break your mark and you go all the way up, run real fast, and break the speed limit or whatever you're going to do up there.
Thank you.
All right, Lynn. Thanks. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. Bye-bye.
This is the Jordan Levy Show.
Shouldn't people in the administration that testify before Congress have to tell the truth or be subject to be prosecution? But who's going to prosecute them? The Attorney General, who also lied before Congress?
On WTAG.
Searching for a